What should we do with the drunken sailor? What should we do with the drunken sailor? What should we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning? Hello, welcome to the Straight Red Card. That's a little song from my fourth grade class, music class, Brett. Can you believe we sang that back in the 80s in music class?
Yeah, I do recall that because we were talking about this beforehand, but go back through all the PG movies back in the 80s and ask yourself seriously, would they be listed as PG nowadays? The answer is no.
No, they wouldn't. But, I can't imagine as an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever I was at the time, part of the lyrics are shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor. Why are they shaving his belly? I don't understand the lyrics. Like, was that a thing to do to drunk people back then? I don't know. Must be.
You know what you do with the drunken sailor now, right? You give him a mic and he talks about soccer. Let's go. I was never a sailor, but it played.
Well, according to this song, you're supposed to stick him in the scupper with a hosepipe bottom. And we sang those lyrics. Stick him in the scupper with the hosepipe bottom. We didn't know what the fuck that was. What that even meant. And
probably weren't even singing the words. You're probably just making sounds that sounded like it,
And we never knew. We never asked. You would think someone in the class would have raised their hand and said, what the hell does that mean? Because it sounds gross.
You might be giving a little too much credit to fourth graders. I don't think they really even contemplate and think that kind of stuff.
I'm going to have to look that up. Stick him in a scupper hosepipe. I need to look that up. I don't know what a scupper is. I'm not much of a seafaring person, as you well know from our shark discussion. But that's pretty fucking weird. And then put him in bed with the captain's daughter.
That makes more sense, though. I mean,
I know they're trying to sabotage this dude.
Yeah,
but wouldn't the captain's daughter wake up?
Well, I don't know. Hopefully it's consensual. But
I can't believe we sang that.
Much like the shark. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to every video of ours. Let's keep it going, guys. You're killing it. You're doing great.
That's how incompetent I am. Brett's having to do this all the time now. Yeah. I'm supposed to do it, and I forget. All right, we're moving on to the roster, which just came out today. Hell yeah! I always get excited when the rosters come out.
It's kind of a shame though, because we wasted an entire episode of prediction.
We did, but we got a lot of it right and some wrong. But we did have to ditch one of the episodes we finished mostly because of the lightsaber mic, which was very weird.
Wow.
Anyhow, we fixed it, folks. There's no lightsabers in this show. I know that might, disappoint some people. But
I'm sure you can put some Jedi fighting in the background while we talk about it.
I'm sure I could meme that up. All right. Well, how about your general feelings about the roster?
Generally speaking, there are a couple names that I'm like, okay. But for the most part, I like the roster. Not a whole lot of people snubbed. There are some. We'll get to those at another segment. But no, as a whole, I mean, this is what we mostly expected. This isn't anything new. We knew 85% of the roster was almost guaranteed. Maybe more. There was only probably about a handful of potential of the 26 that could have been tossed up in the air. Shuffled around. So as a whole, I dig it. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% awesome for me, but again, we already expected this. There were a few things we'll talk about where I'm like, really? Huh, okay. But, and there were some people included that I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, they're there again. But we'll get into that. I mean, let's start at the goalkeepers. We've got Ethan Horvath,
position, huh?
Zack, Stefan, and Matt Turner. Whoa, that's a shock. No, it's not. That's like what everybody knew was going to happen. And by the way, I tried to find the Mexican national team announcement, and they did not announce their roster on. So we don't know if Ochoa is going to get that call up he was hoping for from the Mexican national team. But in this particular lineup, none of the goalkeepers are surprising. freaking Matt Turner stood on his head during the All-Star game last night.
Yep.
And the MLS All-Stars defeated the Mexican Liga MX All-Stars. So pretty fun watch.
Do we start feeling bad for Mexico at some point?
I don't ever feel bad for them in general. I sometimes feel bad for individual players that I do have an affinity for, but they don't get that. They're not really on the team anymore. Like I do have an affinity for Chicharito. And when I say I have an affinity, I don't have a hard on for him. I just like him as a person. I think he's a really fun, really good, fun, nice, super nice guy. And so I like the dude. So when
it doesn't hurt that he plays for your team too.
Yeah, he is an LA Galaxy guy, and that is my team. But I even liked him back when he was at West Ham, when he was playing in Germany. I was rooting for him. And I don't know why. It's kind of a weird thing. Every once in a while you run into a player from a team that you don't really are not supposed to be rooting for, and you just like the guy. And so you know what? Dempsey had a Mexican teammate on Fulham that I used to root for too. Not when he was playing against us though. Can't remember his name at this point. So I think maybe we should move on to defenders.
It was so long ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about, but man, that was so long ago.
I can't remember his name. I know, but they are really good friends too. So defenders, I'm going to go down the list, and I'll let you make a comment, then I'll make a comment.
What?
George.
So we're going to do individuals at a time. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could just list out all the people, but we have things to say about each of them.
Sure.
So, George Bello at left back, not a horrible thing. I guess Vines. Well, we won't. I guess we shouldn't get into why Vines didn't make the team, but I think it's pretty obvious. He just got to Europe, let the kids settle in. But that would have usually been a pick that would have been Vines in that spot. So I don't.
You can make the argument either way. Vines did just get to Europe, and again, we may talk about him in the second segment. Has had a pretty rough start in Europe, but
yeah.
As far as whether it's Vines or Bello backing up Robinson, it's a toss up for me in that sense. I mean, it depends, I guess, on what you're wanting to do with your wing backs at the time, and we'll get into this in the third segment as far as the formation setup and how that actually benefits Bello. Most likely, I mean, obviously, we can only predict what Gregg's actually thinking,
right?
But no, I'm fine with Bello. Personally, when we did our prediction, I didn't have a second left back. I just left the left back option as a desk fill-in if need be. And I brought in two right backs. And
I had Scally.
Yeah.
So I was pre-ejaculatory on that. He didn't make the squad. And then, as we already mentioned, Anthony Robinson, that was fully expected. There's nothing really to say about that. He's having a great start to the season for Fulham. And right back, we've got DeAndre Yedlin, which I think I predicted.
He was one of mine too.
And Serginho Dest. Not
obvious.
These are just obvious. It's not worth. And then on the obvious route, you got John Brooks.
Sure.
And then all the people fighting to play next to him. Depending on if you play 2 CBs or 3, which I imagine there's probably at least one game, and we'll get into this in the third segment. There's at least one game I'm pretty sure we're going to play 3 CBs. But we've got next to Brooks, we've got Mark Mckenzie, who's had a bitch of a beginning of the season. Can't seem to quite get a start over Lassimi at Genk. So I'm glad he's here. I don't know how much he's going to play. Tim Ream was really I shouldn't have been surprised, but I thought we were done with Tim Ream, and I thought he was injured.
You thought, or
here
hoped.
He is.
No, it's a. What can you say about that? In all honesty,
yeah, there's not much. Just move on.
This is the big one that people are upset. One of the big ones that people are upset about, and talking about players that were snubbed, left off, not necessarily even snubbed, but just like left off in place of him. Are those players that have been left off better than Good Lord.
Emery.
Thank you. I kept wanting to say Zimmerman for whatever reason. I'm looking through the list now. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. So are the players that were left off better than Tim Ream? Yeah.
Some of them are.
Down, I would say you could probably go down pretty deep on our depth to replace him because at this point, Tim Ream does not have the wheels. He never had the wheels ever in his career. He was never a fast center back. And the only thing he had going for him really was he read the game pretty well and he was able to distribute the ball.
Yeah,
he was never a fast player. Now he's even slower.
He had a good left foot. He still does have a good left foot. Mm-hmm. It's just that, we don't need somebody that slow necessarily although he's played extremely well for Fulham in the championship. I do have to say that. And maybe that won it over. And that's why Chris Richards, whose club situation is totally up in the air right now, didn't make the team. But we won't get into that details of that until later.
It's tough talking about the snubs right now.
I know that was one of the snubs. Miles Robinson is the guy I hope starts next to Brooks, frankly. And then you have James, and then you have James Sands, who's on here because he could play a couple different roles. So why not bring him?
You brought that up in our prediction one too because you had him included in center back depth.
Did you?
No, I didn't. I did not have him included, and I don't know what we did. I don't have my paper with me anymore, but I did not have him included because you brought the point. Like he can not only play center back, but he can also fill in as a 6 if need be. I'm like that's a good point. I still don't have him on my list.
That was a redundant question. I was exposing your weakness.
My weakness.
All right,
I was a big Sands defender until he actually had to play center back, and we're like, no.
Yeah, center back was not so good, but he can play that weird third guy in the middle in a three back.
And not to get into the third segment and all, but now I'm kind of torn on how I want my center backs positioned like that. But yeah, we'll get to that later, I guess.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Walker Zimmerman and Pete erroneously. And listen, we all get shit wrong on our shows. I got shit wrong on this show many times. But he said that Walker Zimmerman had not played since the Gold Cup. That is untrue.
He has 2 games.
He's played 2 games.
Yeah.
So it's not like bringing him in here. It's like we're bringing some guy that they're wheeling out of the hospital. This guy's played 2 games, and I think he was man of the match in one of the 2 games. So he's back to normal, and we got plenty of time. Walker Zimmerman will be fine. He's a reliable backup. I still hope Miles Robinson is the guy they start next to him. Brooks. So.
Again, you're also chalking this up as if they play a 2 center back when they say that. But yeah, we'll get into that.
Well, I think we will play at least one game with 3, and I'll explain why when we get to that. Midfielders. All right, not a whole lot of midfielders. I was really surprised by the number 5.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Though this could play in a factor when, of all of the videos, all the YouTube videos that Berhalter clearly watches. And talking about either putting Reyna or Aronson as a midfielder. So it is possible the plethora of strikers, we have 8 of them, 1 of them or 2 of them could possibly play in the midfield if need be.
Or we know who
might get placed there. Who knows?
We know who they are. That's Aronson and, of course, Reyna.
Sure.
Can both maybe slide into those roles. So there's not really a necessity to bring any more than 5, except for the 5 here are kind of Kellen Acosta. All right.
Not a shocker.
That's not a shocker. And if he plays like he did through a lot of the Gold Cup, I'm fine with that. Tyler Adams, hip hip hurrah. Can he please stay healthy until the game? Sebastian Lletget. Listen, I'm an LA Galaxy guy, and I'm not really that thrilled with having Lletget on here, but I knew he was going to be on here.
So
anyhow.
Again, yeah, no surprise. I think both of us had him on our midfield, not out of a need that we want him on there. And this is not a slight against Lletget. I just think we have better options at this point. But we both had him on there because we knew that Berhalter was not going to leave him off of it, barring injury. Exactly. And even then, maybe he'll get included. Who knows?
Have him out there with like a
wheelchair and a walker.
Yeah, wheelchair. I don't think they'd let him play in that. Weston Mckinney, we knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Weston's fucking club situation is a disaster right now. Allegri, doesn't think. Apparently, this is in the Italian press, so it could be bullshit, and then it's translated by American press, who then print it. And so we have all these rumors going on now that Allegri doesn't really see a future for Mckinney in his system for Juventus, because he wants to play the tappy ball, and so he wants more tappy players. And so
oddly enough, I think McKinney's capable of playing that. Regardless, despite that, let's just say he doesn't see him in the future, and he wants to sell him. Which, okay, I think the big reason why they're looking at selling him is because they can make they can sell him for a decent amount, and it takes a chunk of the payoff of their salary or what they're paying, and they can bring other players in that Allegri make feel better suits his style that he wants to play.
And Ronaldo wants out too, so they're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I heard he wanted out mainly because McKinney's getting pushed out. They're good friends.
And he wants Man City to sign McKinney. No, he doesn't. That's all a lie. That's not true. But that would be fun if it happened, although I don't think McKinney would play much in the Man City system. I think, if he goes to Europe and he gets in one of the top...
I'm hoping he goes to Europe. He's already in Europe.
Weston McKinney?
Yeah, I said I hope he's going to Europe because he's already in Europe.
Oh, I meant England. I said Europe.
You said Europe.
I'm not one of those morons who think Europe is a country. Yeah, I meant England. So if he gets to England, and he plays in one of those mid-level table teams, I think he'd be really good. I think he'd be auto starter. So hopefully that's what happens.
I know Filippo's not a big fan of the concept of him going to Tottenham.
No, don't go to Tottenham. Nah, that club's kind of got issues. They got all kinds of weird things they're dealing with, and I don't know how he would fit into their system as well. He fit in better there than some other clubs, but I don't know. I don't know what they're doing at Tottenham. I don't trust Tottenham. Let me just put it that way. And I don't trust Arsenal, so don't go there either. There are a lot of teams I don't trust. So I want him to go somewhere where he will play. That would be like a Leicester. He might play at Leicester, for instance, immediately. All right, that's enough of that shit. Christian Roldan is also on here, and that was a little, the problem is I actually like Christian Roldan as a person. All the interviews I've watched with him over the years, he's a really nice guy, but he just doesn't belong on this team. And, with Luca De La Torre and Green got kind of fucked in this thing, and we won't go into why right now. But it just doesn't seem like he belongs there. I don't care how good Seattle's doing this season.
So, to your point, Roldan seems like just a top class dude. Seems like a nice guy, and he's a hard worker. He busts his ass on the pitch. But saying that he doesn't necessarily belong on the 26 isn't a slight at him. It's just focusing more on the talent level that we have and players who would make our team and our bench stronger. And this is the thing. I mean, people are like, "Oh, I don't want to make a scapegoat out of a person," which is what Sam said about Leggett. When it's like, we're not making a scapegoat out of him. We're just saying that there are better players ready to take the pitch at this point. From what Leggett brings, another player can bring plus more. We'll put it that way. And again, that's not saying that Leggett or Roldan won't go out there, score a goal, or get an assist. It's very possible. We saw it in the Gold Cup. It happens. But to say that they are the better option on the 26, when we look at some of the players that aren't included or got snubbed, I don't think it's accurate. I think it's a bad argument.
Right. And that gets us into the people listed as forwards. And I don't ever trust these lists. We've already talked about Aronson and Reyna being options in the midfield. Well, they're on the forward list. And Conrad De La Fuente's there, which is nice. We both like him. We both like what he's doing at Marseille, even though it's early days. Jordan Pefok made it, and I was kind of like, okay.
We both had Pefok in our three, though. Our three centers.
I mean, he hasn't been, out of his 6 appearances, only like 2 of them have been good. So I think he needs to, and one of them.
The big question is who's been. Well, I guess we know one person that's been removed that could take a spot, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we like I said, we both had PFOC on our list, but because quite frankly, neither of us predicted that Ricardo Pepi would be included. And that gives nothing against him by any means. We just didn't expect that to be the case, which is fine. I'm fine with him being on the roster. It's cool to see. Hopefully, he gets his chance and hopefully he capitalizes. We just didn't predict it.
I like Pepe's letter that he put out there.
Oh, that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Why he picked the US. And that's how it should be. And I think you sent me a document that had a whole long spiel. That's German.
Spiel.
About spiel.
German 101 with Derek Ritchie.
Actually, I think that's in the American Webster's dictionary now. It's been used so often.
Sure it is.
Yeah. But the point being that Pepe put out this great letter, and Gregg also put out a long statement about how these decisions are made. And his main focus, I think, the word honesty and being honest with the player, that is commendable. He doesn't make any ridiculous promises. He just says, listen, if we want you to fit in here, we're going to do everything we can to make you feel comfortable here. But if in the end you decide to pick another country, I totally understand it. You're a human being. That's your right to do so. I love that. I love that approach because I guarantee you that's not going on in Tata Martino's meeting rooms. No, I don't.
Well, yeah, he talked about how, like, you know, they've been in talks with Pepe long before Mexico came into the equation,
right? And
you know, he didn't really care what Mexico was saying or doing. He only really cared about what they were doing and what they were saying, and that's the best way to approach it. Show a non-hostile environment. Say, hey, we like what you're doing. You keep up the work, you'll get your chance. And don't promise the world, because I mean, when you promise the world and you don't get it, then all of a sudden you've got a player who despises you, despises the organization, and it's a thorn in the side at that point. So don't preach and say, oh yeah, if you pick us, World Cup's got your name written all over it.
Don't make promises, all right? Because then don't accept false promises, because then you become Jonathan Gonzalez. You don't want to be there. So I wish. It doesn't matter. We're going to move on. I'm not getting back into all the other, dual nationals that people worry about. Christian Pulisic. We knew he'd be here. I don't know if he's going to start the first game. We'll see if he does start for Chelsea this weekend, which I believe he's going to be just on the verge of eligible for, but he's not. He's not going to. Not after isolation.
No, I don't think he's going to play for Chelsea by any means. And it's kind of confusing. I mean, Berhalter's comments, I think, were kind of PC. I think Pulisic probably will start, barring a negative test again. Because I mean, he's got to pass some tests. I'm like, the only test I can think about is another COVID test. But I feel like you'd have to almost have that done before he leaves England. So I don't know what test he's referring to. I doubt it's a condition informed test by any means. I'm sure he's maintaining his conditioning right now.
Oh, I'm sure he is too. I don't think fitness is going to be the issue.
No.
Unless he's had some sort of adverse effects from having the Rona. But I think he should be fine. But even if he's just like sort of questionably fine, he may not start for El Salvador. He may start the second game.
Well, and I brought that up too in one of our earlier shows. I'm like, at that point, I mean, I know that he's going to, like, in theory, his 2 weeks, and if it's, again, this going off of old information as far as the quarantine timeframes. Let's just say it's the two. I know, I'm just saying. Let's just say it's the 2 weeks that they originally predicted, like months and years ago. But let's just say that 2 weeks ends on the 31st, which is obviously a couple of days before the first game. By that point, it might just be better for him to come in fresh, ready to go against Canada than to fly all the way down to play El Salvador, and then fly back up to Canada to play Canada, not into Canada, but you know what I'm saying. I think we have enough talent, especially in that striker position, that he can just join us against Canada. What is that, Nashville, I think?
I think he'll probably fly with the team to El Salvador, though, just to be with the team. Yeah, I wouldn't
deal with the possibility of lag and that type of stuff. I
don't know. We'll see. You could be right. We might let Christian Pulisic hang out in Nashville. I don't know. Could happen. Gio Reyna, of course, we expected him on this list. Josh Sargent, after coming off of a couple goals and assists at Norwich City. Yes, it was just a League Cup game. Yes, I know that, but it was against Bournemouth. It's not like Bournemouth is hot garbage.
Yeah.
And then lastly is Timothy Weah, who I don't know how much time Weah's going to get because he started off, he's had a rough season with Lille. We'll see. Right now, I'd rather see De La Fuente actually than Weah if we need to do so. So, but I think that's about it. No?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So like, subscribe, share it on the Pizza Hut website because their pizza's awful. So they need something good on their website. So, or their Facebook page. So post something good. And that would be our show on the Pizza Hut Facebook site. Because their pizza's goddamn awful. So is Domino's. So fuck them too.
Yeah, but Domino's, you can get like a medium 1 or 2 topping pizza for like $5. So you gotta play the numbers game if you have to. Yeah,
if you like eating garbage, you can.
I gotta fill up these 2 kids somehow.
Well, the kids don't care. They don't know bad pizza from good pizza. Hell, we ate a lot of Totino's here. When I was
quite frankly, you can always just get the deli pizzas from insert random grocery store here, and it's just as expensive as Domino's, and it's much better.
It is actually, shockingly. That should say something to you, Domino's. You need to work on that red sauce recipe. Ingredients are, it smells like ass and it tastes like ass. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll catch you for segment 2 coming up.